Call this meeting to order, Rockledge City Council Budget Workshop. It's Wednesday, August 2nd, 2017. It's 5:30 p.m. City Clerk, you want to call the roll, please?
Mayor Price.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Ferguson.
Here.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
Councilman Forrester.
Here.
Councilman Daskey.
Here.
Councilman Hartzell.
Here.
City Manager Fetro.
Here.
Okay, we have our budget presentations for fiscal year 2018. We don't need the city attorney for this?
He is coming. He is. I saw him today. He is coming. I hope everything's okay. But he will be here, Mayor.
Okay.
He probably thinks it's at 6.
I hope not. I think I said 5:30, but that could be, Councilman.
Okay.
If any staff has their cell phone, yeah, maybe call Joe, and thank you, Ken.
Okay, let's go to, first of all, the 2017 accomplishments. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, I might be doing this slightly differently from in past years, but I decided to go with documents in front of you versus PowerPoint. That way you all can make notes and refer to each page, and if you, rather than a slide being passed, now you can go back page and flip back and forth. So I would draw your attention to the document with the seal in front of it, and that is where we'll start with 2017 accomplishments. There are 6 or 7 pages here. Obviously, I'm not going to read every page to you, but I would highlight maybe several things per page. So on the first page, under administration, we're very proud that the city received over $960,000 in grants for the Breeze Swept project. St. John's River Water Management, FDEP, and the half-cent sales tax oversight committee are 3 of the sources. Additionally, the city was at a 10-year high in platting. It's actually, with the Ventura project at Turtle Creek, it's actually at 440 residential units. Alex and I were just chatting today, and it's even higher than the 248. So it's remarkable.
440?
440
Wow.
versus the 248. So that's, I don't know if that's a record for the city, but that's extremely high. Over $53 million in building permits issued year to date. You can see the breakdown there. The voice over IP system, February 1st, the employee health clinic was opened and getting good support from employees. And of course, the city employees and the city survived Hurricane Matthew and completed the worksheets for the $575,000 in reimbursement from FEMA. Moving on to the next page with regard to our new Department of Public Safety. Half a dozen items or so, but the ISO rating of a 3 for fire protection, new program Citizens Police Academy, Police Athletic League, and the various events that were conducted by our Department of Public Safety. Moving on to page 3, Public Works Department, various projects. You can see many of those. Just a couple of highlights. The sign replacement program. The city started this back in 2015 when the sign shop was sort of literally created here at the city. Started making the signs. So at that time, the city committed about $30K a year to replace all the street signs. We're about the second year in and gaining momentum. So that'll take us another 2 to 3 years, and you'll see in the budget this year $30K for that project. The water retention in front of Public Works, tried to complete that retention area, the beautiful tree we lost. So you can see all those projects.
Did you get a call, Ken, from the barbecue guy about in front of Public Works? Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, keep going.
That's okay. Meeting Friday at 10. Yes, Mayor.
Well, it was fresh on my mind. I had to ask you.
And okay, so moving on to stormwater. I believe at a council meeting, y'all viewed the video that was created with regard to the waterways in the city. Very, very nice video. Some pipe replacement. Very cool projects. The Fall Drive just to our east on the way into the McKnight Family Sports Complex. Fall Drive was completed. And the identifying the catch basin, 1,125 of them were identified with the sticker that you can see there. So that was a huge project completed this year as well. Continuing on, a couple more projects with stormwater. I think the pipe replacement there at Gulfview, you saw at a council meeting earlier in the year. And then with regard to sanitation, you can see the temporary debris site. We're clearing it and stockpiling it with millings and so forth. That's going well. And then the refurbishment of the garbage trucks continue. They've actually done 2 this year, but the oldest truck in the fleet is a 1996, almost vintage truck. It's remarkable, but it's still running. So moving on to the wastewater and water reclamation department. The very, very important septic to sewer conversion project at Breeswept. Just to remind you, 139 of the 141 homes in that subdivision signed up. We have 27 connections complete at this time. Going to get all of those connections done to the homes by September, and then the septic tanks will be abandoned in October. Again, the SCADA project, SCADA Phase 1, was critically important, giving operators real-time information, saved us 22% on the cost of chlorine because they can react so quickly. So that SCADA 1 is already beginning to pay for itself. And the SCADA 2, you'll notice, I know you know, is in the budget for this upcoming year as well. And lastly, the CRA. You can see the Civic Hub is a very, very important project that we will finish design into next fiscal year and break ground, hopefully. Sky Zone, just to show you an example of the return on investment. The individual owner invested $2.5 million into that Sky Zone, employs 125 people, and over 68% of their customers come from outside the 32955 and the 32940 zip codes. So it is a destination, and it is in the city of Rockledge. Very, very wonderful project. So I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have regarding the accomplishments for 2017.
Anybody have any questions?
I don't have questions. I just would like to get those numbers on the Sky Zone as I lobby our state legislators on the CRAs as well as our county commissioners. Those are impressive. And any real time, I can't say it does good. That's not quantifiable, but those numbers are. So if I can, I'll get them from you.
I was going to say, we'd be happy to provide each of you with maybe bullet points or anything you'd like, but we'll definitely get that to you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on. 2018 budget overview. General fund budget. Want to start with?
Okay. Mayor and Council, again, you have the documents in front of you, so I was going to maybe speak at a high level with regard to each page, but if you have any questions on certain items, please do stop me. So as a general overview on the general fund, as certainly Council has already approved, some concepts, if you will, as to for example, the millage rate. The tentative millage rate you all set at 6.20, so the revenue is calculated at such millage rate. That revenue line, the net ad valorem taxes, is slightly up from when Finance and Budget saw it in June, just because revenue projections keep coming in, but that is firm. The 7.979 is firm. And the other item was that you all had asked to have about a 2% increase in wages for personnel, so that is built in here. The health insurance, it was originally projected in June to be about a 10% increase. I have it budgeted at 8% at this time, but if we have 2 or 3 more months of good experience, that may come down as well. Let's see. And on the second page, the $497,239 would be coming from reserves if you all approve this budget this evening or liked what you saw and didn't make changes. This year it's at $464. Quite honestly, we have a few dollars that if there are no changes made, that amount will come down a little bit. But I was waiting to see if we had any changes.
Also, Brenda, back on the first page, charge for service. The plat fees and the building permit fees, are those based on our new projections?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, they are. They are based on the increases that you all had approved as a council.
Okay.
So those revenue projections, kind of annualizing it out this year based on volume, but with the increase in fees, that's how we came to those revenue dollars.
Okay.
But yes. Any other? Okay. Moving on to the page that is admin. Again, the health insurance started at 10%, now it's budgeted at about 8%. Just a note, all of everyone who's housed in City Hall, their business comes out of this budget. So I brought everybody together this year and got input from everybody in this facility so that I could be as precise as possible. For example, you'll see office supplies in 2016, it was almost $28,000. This year it was budgeted a little less, but in speaking with everyone, the 31.3 is what is in there now, and I believe that's going to properly fund various training, just different things that each person, memberships, advertisements, a lot of different things, office supplies, everything that everybody in the entire building would need. And again, I'd be glad to, with a 2% salary increase, so that's where you can see why the salaries are slightly higher.
Why are the membership dues up so much? What are those on?
That is the EDC, the city has always done EDC at the chairman's level, 2,500, Cocoa Beach Regional Chamber, CivMill for mayor and city manager, and some other, I think clerk has some memberships and HR membership. I think the planning department has a membership of sort of their professional organization, if you will. So there's several there, Mayor.
Okay. But does mean that's up about $4,000 from last year.
It is.
Or $5,000 from
It's
last
five, actually 5,700. And if we want more detail, I can look to Matthew. Those were but yeah, those were, again, in meeting with everyone, those were all the various items, and not to say that that anything was missed from this year, but I just got everyone's input and really tried to cover everything. Okay, unless there are other questions, moving on to Police Department.
I have one.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, yes.
The last line on that page, computer upgrades, so we're not buying the 40 new computers. Is that going to be over and above the 40 computers we're buying?
It is. We try to have, in case something needs replaced, whether it's a monitor or, some laptop goes haywire, or even if the 40, I don't think will replace every single computer at the city. So it's just a safety net, if you will, in case something goes wrong. I just approved something today, so you never know.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions,
Any other
Connor?
questions?
Okay, moving on to PD. Again, 2% increase generally across the board. Frankly, there is a small adjustment in there for what will be our new director of the Department of Public Safety. And the code enforcement person's entire salary is in there for this year. It was not in 2017, so we've made that adjustment, so that's why you'll see salaries are up a little bit. And you can see the one line item for code enforcement at 1,000. That's again to make sure all the expenses for code enforcement are in this budget. And then the sergeant's exam down at the very bottom, that's an additional line. There will be a process whereby anyone promoted, whether to a deputy chief as we develop our new Department of Public Safety, but they're going to go through a pretty rigorous process. The chief and I have talked about. Historically, the chief has developed, designed, and administered that exam. Of course, he's going to be pretty busy this upcoming year with the new department and other responsibilities, so we may have to get a little assistance with the creation and implementation and administration of that exam. That's generally it at a high level. If any questions on police?
The only thing, why did you take the reserve expense out? Because we don't have reserves anymore? We have all part-time? Is that what it is?
Yes. Yes, reserves are no longer, I'm sorry, Chief, go ahead. Yes, that's correct. Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that is. Councilman?
Are we going to, with the new Department of Public Safety, will we still be seeing a separate budget for police and fire?
We will, sir. And in fact, the department director his entire salary will come out of police so that he will remain in the police pension. Because I can't split any salaries, because in one pension or another, it has to be one or the other.
Okay.
So, yes, and then also to keep with our intention and our vision is to have them be the two separate agencies with similar things going on as they do now, deputy chiefs, and then one leader, and that's the department director.
Okay.
But that director's salary / police chief will come out of the police side.
Okay. Works for me.
Okay.
Okay. Then moving on to fire. Let's see. Again, you'll see even a slight reduction in salary lines there. We believe that we're continuing to fine-tune that, but we'll still have enough salary for the directed 2% or thereabouts. Some reduction in overtime, and I would say that's subject to come down even more. I can't say too much more because, as you know, we're in a negotiation, so that's private information, so to speak, even from council by PERC law. But and we do have, you'll see the retirement line is a little higher. We actually have 2 people in drop, as well as the chief to retire in April of 18. So we're trying to budget and prepare for that as well.
The other 2 people go out of job.
One is December, I believe, and where's chief? I can't remember. Where's the second one? Is that in spring as well? I think it is spring. So we tried to budget, keep the salary in, and then once they retire, the payouts and such, so.
But our pay-in for retirement went up another $100,000 this year.
Yeah.
Is that because of the deficit?
The required annual, go ahead, Matthew, but.
Name and address. Matthew Trine, Finance Director, 1600 Huntington Lane. I live here.
Yes, we do, yeah.
I go home to visit family. Let's see here. There's a number of reasons. The fire pension elected to reduce its assumed rate of return on the pension assets to 7.9% from 8%. Also, Florida statutes created a rule whereby we have to change our mortality table to tie to that of the FRS mortality table, which assumed people would live longer than our mortality table did, essentially. And so because of the projected longer lives and the projected reduced rate of return on investment, in addition to the existing deficit, it has increased our required
Because
contribution.
it's so much higher than the police department, with so many less people than the police department. Is that because of the difference in deficit?
It is because of the difference in deficit. That is exactly.
Haven't asked our firemen to pay any more of that? Or what are they paying in now?
They pay the same amount as the police department does, 7%.
7%, yeah.
That's almost $500,000.
It's a lot of money.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments regarding fire? Okay, moving on to Public Works. Let's see. In Public Works, you can look at the salary line and see the slight increase again for about 2%. There is one more FTE in here for the ground maintenance area, as well as to continue to implement the comp study plan, as we had talked about in the council meeting in Finance and Budget, in an attempt to get the $11 an hour person up to $11.50 this year and hopefully $12 next year. So that is all budgeted in there. Also, if you wanted to take your eyes down to like uniforms, for example, there's a little increase there. That was via contract that we settled this past year for shirts and shoes, a few more shirts that the guys and gals needed.
On a weekly basis, you mean?
Yes, they get so many, and they go through them, as you can
They
imagine.
clean them or do we clean them?
We clean them.
We clean them?
Yeah. But you can imagine in this heat, they get one a day and they can't hardly keep up with them. So they asked, and we said, we do want you to look very presentable as a city employee. So I did up the number of shirts by a couple, I think. So we budgeted in order to do that, so they have their shirts and look presentable.
The big number that jumps out at me on this one is the overtime. There was nothing last year or the year before, and now it looks like it's 64,000.
Actually, I believe that is an accounting hiccup, quite frankly. There is overtime being paid this year. In fact, during the summer, we have lawn crews, at least one, maybe more than one, that work Saturdays too, to keep up with the lawn cutting schedule in this rainy season. So there is overtime paid, particularly during the summer, to keep up with the lawn cutting schedule. So we'll need to correct that, because that is a hiccup.
What do you mean by hiccup?
Meaning it should be on that line to show overtime being paid in 2017. Matthew, do you have an amount for 2017 that we've paid year-to-date?
Not front and center, I can get it for you.
Okay.
We haven't broken it out because it wasn't budgeted separately historically, but I can obviously do that.
We will fix that, Mayor. Oh, go ahead, Mayor. I'm
If I
sorry.
remember correctly, Ken, we've done this in the past to try to give these guys an opportunity to make extra money because they're paid so low rates.
Well, actually, this is a real need to keep up with growing season.
Yeah.
We usually start the Saturday after 4th of July and go September.
Right. Okay.
And council, I apologize. We will have that corrected for your budget book to show the amount spent year-to-date and overtime for this year, so you can have a comparison. Any other questions on Public Works? Okay. Hearing none, moving on to Mayor, City Council, and the City Attorney. For Mayor and City Council, you can see that on the telephone line, I apologize, that should probably say cell telephone. But in consultation with City Attorney, and I know the City Attorney has talked to you all at a council meeting with regard to having city cell phones issued to you all. So I did go ahead and budget for 7 in the event that any one of you or all of you wish to have a city-issued cell phone. So that is there. Additionally, just on the salaries and insurance line, I just would say that is up ever so slightly. This council is the lowest paid council in the county. And just if next year at any point in time there's any thought to contemplate a small increase, there's been a few dollars placed there in the event that council might contemplate doing that.
I noticed the mayor's expense, you doubled it this year.
The mayor, I did, Mayor, and
You know, still today, I've never seen a dime of that money.
well,
I don't even know where the money
Mayor,
goes. Somehow or another, every city manager we have spends my money, the mayor's money. I've never been able to spend a dime of it.
Well, we can work on that for next year, Mayor. But
Didn't you buy those coins with the mayor money?
The cufflinks.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I
it
bought
was.
the cufflinks out of my own pocket.
I think the coins were out of the mayor's money. But just in
You got
case,
something out of it, you got the coins.
just in
I
case,
did get the coins, I think, out of my budget. But I think I was overdrawn that.
I think so, Mayor, but who am I to say who's overdrawn, right?
Okay.
But there is an item there that, in speaking with several of you individually, city shirts. So I did up it, 700 of that is for shirts, if council should so choose. $100 per person, in theory, about 2 shirts each. So that's 7 of you, $700. So
Where's that expense at?
that's the mayor's expense.
Oh, that's
That's
what
part
you,
of,
coming from.
your mayor is very generous to
The
you.
city manager giveth and the city manager taketh away.
You got it on paper. What more do you want?
I was wondering where that was gonna come from. Now I know.
I was going to give you all the credit.
Yeah, okay.
So that's,
Tom?
yeah.
You're welcome.
That's mayor and city council budget. And then city attorney, pretty similar, only slight couple grand higher in that Mr. Maniclier's contract is up in May of 18. And per the mayor's direction, he and I have talked, and Mr. Maniclier, thankfully, is very interested in another contract with the city, so as it gets closer, we'll work on that. But I budgeted a few dollars in case our city attorney gets a few more dollars. Actually, I would think it was 2% in line with employees, to be quite frank. I'm a tightwad. What can I say, city attorney? Sorry. Uh-oh, we'll have to fight it
Get a
out.
new shirt.
Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't budget for him, sorry.
Tom's got money left.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay.
Nope.
Capital Improvement Program, it is pretty self-explanatory. It's the various items that we had discussed in Finance and Budget in the subsequent council meeting. In case you're wondering, the GIS software, you all thankfully, we did pay for that out of reserves. However, that's the annual software license. That's why it's hitting the annual operating
That'll be paid
budget.
next year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. The 800 megahertz radios, that's wonderful in there, because we have until December of 2018 with which to comply with that requirement. And the fire will be very happy. The SCBA masks at 90,000, that's for 18 of those units. That will protect our firefighters.
We're not buying a fire truck this year?
We are not, Mayor. I mean, unless council directs me otherwise. I had not planned to do that. I think we had bumped that to 19. Is what
19,
we,
okay.
both of them are shaking yes, so 19, I believe,
Okay.
is when we project for that to be needed. And then the next page of capital improvement, just the other item, the 50K as we had discussed for the multi-purpose facility, the initial PD&E, so we can begin to look at what elements you all want in it and a potential design. Any questions or comments on the capital improvement program?
Yeah. I know I'm missing this somewhere, but you and I just talked earlier about repairing some of the things at the fire station, and I'm seeing 10,000, and I thought somewhere I saw a line for 25,000 for the same,
In the
on
fire,
another page we haven't gotten to yet.
actually, under the fire department budget, Councilman, the building maintenance line,
Okay.
I took that from 15,000 to 25,000,
Okay.
in addition to what's here in the capital request, if you will, as well.
I guess,
So there's 10K in the capital request and then another 10K up under the fire department budget.
okay.
You know, when I drove by City Hall today, we got mismatched siding up here. Looks like our siding up here needs to be painted.
Okay.
I don't know if that was damaged when that tree fell,
We'll look at it. Yeah, we'll look at it.
but it looks tacky for City Hall.
Definitely look at it, Mayor.
Go out there, you'll see two different colors up here.
So any, Councilman Forrester, did that answer your question or any
okay,
further?
Frank?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
Okay,
good.
okay, okay.
Thank you.
Just wanna make
I
sure.
found it here.
Okay, all right.
I don't know why it's in two different places, but okay, I'm good with it either way.
Okay, then moving on to next page, actually the last page, if you will, of the general fund budget request says general government.
Workers' comp's going down?
It is.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments? The general government is pretty in line.
Insurance liability.
Insurance liabilities up, you know, that, yes.
Street lights. Have we ever talked about the LEDs with FPL?
Yes, we have.
How much? Ridiculous?
And if I recall, those
How about
lights,
our own lights? Can we replace the bulbs in our own lights?
yes,
Why don't we look at doing LEDs there?
we can certainly do that over time.
Our street lights on US 1 and Barton,
Barton,
right?
the special design on Barton.
But we own them, right?
Plus the ones on US 1, I thought I was told that they were designed in such a way that their special bulbs were needed to go in there, that LEDs, they wouldn't, I don't think they would fit or something, isn't that, Ken? Something like, yeah. Anyway, we can continue to look at it.
At least let's look at Barton Boulevard.
Okay,
This just goes up every year. I mean, it's getting,
Well, and we've also got Barnes coming up.
do we own the lights on Barnes? No, that's a county road.
well, in 2 years,
Yeah, it's gonna be ours.
council, it will become the city's, a city road. Once Barnes is completed, then in 2 years, the city will inherit it. So,
I mean, you know,
yes,
basically anywhere we've got our own lights that we can look at and we talked
yeah,
at our last meeting about the potential of looking into some solar power, different,
and we have actually, and just to update you all, thank you, Councilman, we checked the franchise agreement with FPL. It is silent to that, so we can proceed with that, and I think Ken has already reached out to FPL to look at, Ken and Jimmy, actually, I think it was. So yes, we are moving forward to discuss with them and see about panels on the great big water tank or various things that might help the city, so we will continue to research
heard
that.
Jim wanted to put solar panels all over his water tanks down there.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the general fund budget draft as it is before you?
The general, wait a minute, transfer to redevelopment, 900,000, that's money coming to, we have to put in that from our general fund.
That is correct. That's the city's portion to go towards the CRA at 6.2 mils.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Oh, whoops, sorry. Well, that's, do you want me just to move right on to sanitation, Mayor? Per the,
Which one's next?
would be sanitation as per the agenda for us. I can
Sanitation?
move right in. I apologize.
Order recommend-
Well, I can go in the order in which you all have them.
Oh, that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would just.
Stay in that order, because then you won't confuse us.
Okay. I will
Next
do-
page.
Next page is wastewater. Right? For you all? Yep, okay.
Wastewater.
So wastewater. So the first page, just wanted to remind everyone that the revenue projection is very accurate. It's slightly under this budget year we're sitting in. But again, being very, very fiscally conservative, I try to get them to get it down to the penny. So that's why you see a small reduction in projected revenue. But that does include the second year of the increase, which we are implementing in 18.
But why is that so much less than 2016?
Because most of the, we dictated it go into the R&R.
Yeah, well, 254.4, as you can see there, half of the $2 of the $4 goes into R&R, and 2 of the 4 goes into capital, and so that's broken out below. So you can see, and then, of course, the revenue from reclaim. But
Okay. I see.
yeah, you can see the breakout there.
You got, you have factored in there Bree Swept coming online, Jimmy?
They do,
Breeze
on the
Web?
revenue.
Okay.
Yes, sir, they do. And let's see. On the salary line, I'll just draw your eyes to the salary line, even though there is one more FTE in there at about $24,000. It's slightly less, as you can see. But that was, sorry, again, kind of an accounting hiccup. Some of the funds down in the accrued sick leave expense, and a couple of places there where it should have really been up in the, shouldn't have been in the salary line, whereas it was, but I am told that is exactly accurate with one more FTE. And then if you go down to actually the bottom of it, the sludge hauling contract, $50K increase. Actually, that contract is up in September of this year. And literally, we'll be going out to bid. I think the advertisement is next Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday, and then we'll get submissions 10 days from there. And we're anticipating an increase, so we're preparing for the worst, but certainly hoping for the best in that bid process.
I talked to Jimmy about that earlier, about that sludge. You know, that is, to me, it's ridiculous. And we got to figure out a way to make money with that, or at least reduce our costs with it somehow.
Okay.
It seems like to me that stuff could be used for something, and I know there's ways out there that we can sell it, but I don't know if it costs us money to sell it, or if we can haul it ourselves to the dump, buy a tractor and haul it ourselves to the dump.
We can certainly research that and try to find something out, Mayor. I think a different city, of which I am a little familiar, hauled some of that out to the Deseret Ranch, and they used some of that for fertilizer. But they may be,
Were they
Not-
hauling
not-
it themselves?
the ranch would come and get it.
The ranch would come and get it.
Because they, as you know, they have a big agriculture business out there. They have a contract with Lay's Potato Chips. So anyway, but we can research that and try to figure out a way to try and at least reduce those costs, or figure out a way if we can make money. That'd be absolutely great.
Great.
Okay, going on to the second page of operating. It's a small dollar amount, but advertising, you can see it was $0, now it's $5,000. As each department does any kind of educational segments, if you will, in the About Town, of which wastewater did this year, will do next year, we're going to charge it to that respective department, as well as they're working on some educational pieces for the hand wipes that should not be put in the sewer system. We're partnering with Cocoa and a couple other cities to try and educate citizens to not put those in the sewer.
What is
The wipes, that people, like
How about the baby wipes?
sanitary wipes, baby wipes, all that stuff, none of that should go in the sewer. So we're trying to it's going to cost us a few dollars to try and educate the public on that, in partnership with Cocoa and Titusville, I think, and maybe Brevard County, I think, were the entities. Palm Bay, thank you, Jimmy. So we wanted to budget for a few dollars to do those educational pieces.
Okay. I did that.
Yeah. So that's their operating budget. If you go to the next page, the non-operating revenues, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is a real test for me, because Matthew's going to quiz me to see how I do on this explanation. So you can see, for example, we had some grants from DEP and St. Johns River in 18, although we want to get in that pipeline, no pun intended, but to get some grant money, we don't have it on the books yet, so I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Some of the wastewater projects, the 473, you can see there, that's on the fourth page. The page right behind this is where they're broken out for you at $473,000 and change. But the next item, the R&R projects, the 274, and then if you take your eyes down to the 19.6, if you will, down below where it says renewal and replacement, that in essence is that 254.4, that the $2 goes into the R&R account, if you will, to pay for those things. Similarly, on capital improvement projects, the 821, and then down below you can see the use of capital improvement monies, the 566.6. Together, that's that 254.4 going to pay for. So anyway, so just want to kind of make sure you knew that's the utilization of that 254.4 out of R&R and out of the capital improvement fund.
Let's go back up to debt service,
Okay?
737. Is this the last year, Matt? This is it, the last payment? Correct. 30 years.
2018, September. And just above that, Mayor, you'll see the 8918. That's an SRF loan. That's such a small amount. But anyway,
Is that gone too?
in 2022, I think. Yeah, it's the SRF.
Pay that off, Mayor, maybe you can get another $500 in the mayor's account.
Matthew's saying no.
He's got plans for it.
Yeah, we've got plans for that money.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I want to make a big deal over that in 18, if I'm still around here.
Hopefully you
I
will
wanna
be,
Make a
Mayor.
big deal over
Yeah.
that we're paying that bond off after 30 years.
Absolutely. That's a very big deal. So that, a bond, that's what we said, bond burning ceremony?
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
A bonfire.
something. I want to make
do
a big
that.
deal over it.
I'd rather frame it and have it stamped in red, paid in full.
That's the biggest debt the city of Rockledge ever went into.
That's what, didn't we refinance it about 10
Yeah.
years ago?
Twice we did it.
Yeah,
Twice we did it.
and though it's not technically a bond anymore either.
No, not really.
It's a
It is,
loan.
it is.
Yes.
And we actually
Still a bond.
discussed that this afternoon because I was asking about, is there an early, prepayment penalty? And it's apparently layered on a couple of bond issues and layered. And so we're actually going to research that just in case y'all wanted to hear that. We'll have that information at a later date. But it is one single bond at this point in time, so we have to be a little careful with other bond agreements. So that is wastewater in a nutshell. The capital request is on the very last page. Just a couple of items, the vehicles, that's for 4, 2 new out in the field and 2 used for admin. They are pretty much in desperate need of those items. The hydraulic modeling is to conduct a modeling exercise to see about all the lift stations in our system, so that if one was to be brought offline, what's the potential impact to others and different things. So as we develop throughout the city, hopefully, could be potential impact on those lift stations. So that's the importance of conducting that hydraulic modeling study.
Dr. Fetro, we had a conversation a week or so ago about lightning and lift stations, and are we looking at that to make sure that if we have a lightning hit that blows a lift station, that we still got some kind of a plan?
Yes, sir, we have several backup pumps, so that sort of situation. And we don't really have we really put some heavy-duty ground rods around our lift stations. We don't have that many issues. We have had 2 issues this week with some private lift stations here in town. We had some sewer overflows with 2 of those.
But those are the responsibility of the private owner.
Private owner,
Yeah.
We usually get involved.
we do, we go out and make
Yeah.
sure that if we can assist in any way to prevent any overflow, and we'll do that, but we still lay the responsibility back on them.
Right.
Who has a private lift station?
We got 46 of them in town.
Wow.
Interesting.
Do we still approve those? If somebody wants to,
Yeah, as long as there's a force main in the area for them to tie into, and there's no gravity available, we allow them to put in a private lift station. We require them to have 2 pumps, an alarm system, and contact information on the panel.
do we get like a cleanup bond from them if in case there is this, but like you were just talking about, we had a couple of them spilling stuff to
No,
pay?
that responsibility is back on them. We do it's called a SSO, a sanitary sewer overflow report to the Department of Environmental Protection, and let them know what's going on, do an approximate estimation on how much spilled, and let them handle it from there. We're going to incorporate the private lift stations along with our grease interceptor inspections, and I was talking to the city manager a couple of weeks ago about possibly an additional charge for those inspections for those restaurants and private lift stations, but we've still got some discussions to do about that.
I was just thinking about maybe requiring some kind of a bond to guarantee that we get covered for our expenses. If somebody puts in a private lift station, they have to put up a bond so that we can get covered, because, once it spills past their perimeter, you guys are gonna have to jump in and get it cleaned up and stop it from getting down to the river or wherever it would go. And I know, having seen similar things in other parts of the country, for example, with coal mines where, they go in and they make a mess and then they declare bankruptcy or the organization shuts down and there's nobody there to go after for the cleanup.
And historically, we have been involved in a lot of cleanups. We had that issue with Westwood subdivision a while back with their private lift station, and they decided to abandon the lift station and put in a gravity sewer line to prevent that from happening.
But we can certainly look at that.
Yeah, I'd
and look
appreciate
at
it if you
some-
look into it and see.
what our expenses are
There's
to
some
see
way
how
we
we're.
can protect ourselves
Yes, yes, we can do that.
from expenses if their system fails and they've not
Yep.
adequately provided backup or whatever.
We can certainly do that. And then, let's see, on the very last page of that is the SCADA 2, Phase 2 system, and several other much-needed R&R requests. The half page, the short page?
That's where I'm
Yes,
at.
the fourth, yeah,
It's the fourth page,
the
too.
fourth page of them.
Looks like this.
Everybody got it? So overall, you can see that the capital request, the total is about 1.5. You know, it's down this year a little bit from, meaning in 18, it would be down a little bit from 17, but those are the projects and items we believe necessary to
Okay.
continue with business. Okay, any other?
Do with the sewer too.
Yeah, yep. Any questions or comments?
Nope. Anybody got any questions?
Okay. Next up is sanitation in y'all's order. Okay, sanitation. Okay. I would draw your eyes to the salary line, again, just to say that although the direction was 2%, again, it's budgeted at about 2.5% just to continue to implement the comp study and to get those who are at $11 up to about $11.50 this year, and then try to get them to $12 next year. And the next line, going down to the bottom half, the telephone line, you can see it's zero there this year, but $47.50. That's actually, we researched it extensively, and that's for some city-issued cell phones. Again, with there are some dead spots in the city and around, but anyway, some city-issued cell phones, and actually the push-to-talk. The radios that they had don't get out to the landfill. Yep, like Nextel used to be, yes. But we've researched it, and they actually love it and are getting good coverage. The push-to-talk is immediate. But that line is $47.50, but on the second page, you'll see where for radios, it's zeroed out for 18. So that's to fully encompass all the city cell phones and then the push-to-talk radio. And you can see at, quite frankly, there'd be a slight loss at the end of year at $414,000. But if we utilize some carry-forward funds, small miscellaneous revenue, that gets our revenue at about $385,000. So the 271, if you will, being available of that to offset the 114 loss. So we are recommending the purchase of one garbage truck and one F-150. Again, as you know, there are 18 trucks in the fleet. The oldest is a 1996. They restore or try to restore 2-ish a year and just try to keep the fleet running. We do have some FEMA money that we're crossing our fingers and toes, hoping that it comes in the next 6 to 8 weeks. That'll be close to $500,000. Much of that will come to sanitation. If that was to happen, we would probably bring to you and recommend the purchase of another truck, and then about half of it going into reserves, because this reserve is pretty lean, so we don't want to spend it all. But anyway, that's the proposal before you, is to buy one truck, one F-150, and then handle the operation
Possibly get another truck.
possibly with the FEMA money. But that's not in this proposal right now, Mayor. I'd bring that back to y'all.
I understand, but
Okay.
what were you getting this year left over out of your budget? Were you buying something this summer?
Sanitation.
Oh, that was out of your public works.
Yeah, actually, this year, Mayor, looks like projection about 102-ish in the hole, so we're,
In the hole?
yeah, just is what it
Okay.
is, that's, yeah. So they're working hard to watch every penny, but as trucks break down and repairs have to be made,
Yeah.
that is the line. I know Ken and I have had a conversation as late as today with some of those repairs. Any questions or comments about sanitation? Okay, hearing none. Thank you. Stormwater is up next. So if you would have your eyes go to the stormwater utility fee line, the very first line. As you recall, you did approve an increase from $4.25 to $4.75 per month per household per ERU. So that revenue projection does include that increase at $1,005,000. So as you sort of come down the lines, it's pretty standard from this year, its operations. Two big projects in there is $115,000 for the Fernwood baffle box and $150K for the ditch treatment just south of Gus Hip. A really, really cool project that will get us some TMDL credits. Really exciting project. And as you bring your eyes down to where it says income loss from operations, about $145,000. So again, bottom line is if this gets approved as is, per your vision, we would be able to put about $146,000 into reserves in stormwater to begin to save up for those big projects that we talked about that the city needed to do to get the TMDL credits and the other things as required.
Ken, is Fernwood the one we've been putting off for all these years? That's our last one, is it?
Yes, the last one.
And that's gonna be the big one. That's a lot of work right there. Now, I also noticed that FPL is upgrading all their power poles down Rockledge Drive to concrete. Do you remember back in 2000 or something when they discussed doing that and all the citizens raised hell about that and they wanted the wooden poles? I do. And we left them wooden poles. Now they're putting, I haven't heard a word. They just did it. But I think it's going to make a big difference. First of all, they're getting the power lines up higher out of the trees, and you're not going to blow them down as easy as you are them wooden poles. That's going to be amazing. Are they going to go all the way down the river, or just because they've only gone to about Fernwood now?
Right. I'll have to look at the permit to get so many in, but I do think it goes to the end of River Road there where you come to.
US 1?
No, going north to River.
Yeah, but they've already done that. They're coming south now. How far south are they going, as I'm asking?
Oh, I have to look. They started at Orange. It seems around Orange.
Oh, did they? They started, I thought they started north and came south, but either way, all of them are in.
That's where they stopped. But it seems like they were kind of meeting in the middle.
Interesting now.
Yeah.
It was a big deal
Nobody
15
fusses.
years ago, and now it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Ken, you mentioned the cost of right-of-way.
Not the cost.
Okay,
I said the limited right of way.
limited.
We're having to turn the box actually sideways, bring the pipe in this direction, take it out,
Flows through and then, okay,
It's different installation to make up.
okay.
Any questions or comments about stormwater?
Seeing none.
Okay. I'm just going to continue. I know Alex stepped out a moment. I'll just cover the CRA. Okay. On the CRA, you can see the contributions from the city that is reflected in the earlier discussion, the $900,000 and change. the county's contribution, the 726 and change. And by the way, I did just discuss this with the agency board last week, I think it was. So they are very familiar with all these elements. And again, the Civic Hub is a very important project, so the thought was to take about 100 out of their capital reserve monies, and then you'll see 300,000 down below for actual construction phase. So 400 total for the Civic Hub project. That's to get the plans to 100% design, and then, of course, do the bid process, and then hopefully start construction. A couple of items you'll see sort of zeroed out in 17 and 18. Telephone expense, janitorial supplies, building maintenance, and even transfer to the general fund. I just wanted to share with council that I believe it's in the city's best interest to not charge the CRA for those items. I'll just say that the maintenance items are not, we probably want to just rule on the side of caution and have maintenance items not charged to the CRA. So I have zeroed out in 17 and in 18. And it's a pretty standard budget. The Barnes Boulevard enhancements at $175K, keeping public-private partnerships in there at $165, just in case something wonderful develops this year, that we would have some funds with which to invite a company into our city. Let's see. The neighborhood improvements, that's actually the Cocoa Rockledge Land Company. If 125 would be budgeted in 2018, another 125K into 19, and that would finish that out. And the rest of it is some more minor things, but be happy to answer any questions that you all might have on the CRA budget.
Anybody have any questions? No?
Okay.
I agree with the lining out those things that aren't necessarily a CRA thing. Go completely with the intent of the CRA. It's not a bad thought.
Thank you, sir. All right, and lastly, but not least, the Rental Facilities Fund. Would just draw your attention down towards the bottom, the several little projects in this fund. The church, the old St. Mary's Church, the thought was to put some fencing on the west side of the property, maybe a little sod and perhaps a gazebo, but there's $20K in there to do those items. And then the old City Hall renovations, that's to restore the windows in the old City Hall. I've seen those windows. You all have probably seen them. They are in desperate need of restoring those windows. I think we put some tape on one yesterday or the day before, because anyway, we've already reached out to the...
twice. This will be the third time.
So we're aggressively working to get those started. And then, the Thompson House railing, that's a wood railing at this time. It is beginning to fail, like down at the base and the joints. We may look at a different material than wood, because that seems to not be in these elements here in Florida, is not too good with the aluminum or some other material. So those are the three, and you can see about 46,000 and change would come from the general fund to help sustain this budget to conduct those small projects.
Okay.
Any questions?
Anybody have any questions on the Rental Facilities Fund? Wow. We went through it all. Now we have questions. Anybody have any questions? Or any comment about the budgeting process this year at all? Ted, Joe, and Sean, the only three that are not on the Finance Committee. I mean, we met on this we had many meetings on these, on this budgeting, but you guys have any questions or anything you don't understand, Sean, on this?
No, sir, not this time.
You okay?
Yes, sir.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment in the form of a commendation. Of all the years I've been on this council, this has been by far one of the smoothest, informative, understandable presentation we've seen. And I think the committee, finance, should be commended with the work of the city manager and the staff. I just think it's wonderful. Let's give you a hand, please.
Great, thank you, Jeff. Anything else? Anybody else have any questions? Any staff members have any questions about why we're doing what we're doing? You can speak. No?
I noticed that there are 3 defibrillators in the budget that weren't brought up.
Thank you. I did forget that.
I didn't.
May I, Deputy Mayor? We do have 3 facilities, City Hall, wastewater, and Public Works, that in fact do not have defibrillators in them. And so Deputy Mayor brought it to my attention, and we have budgeted for 3 of those, 1 in each of those facilities. And then Deputy Mayor and firefighters will train us appropriately so that hopefully we'll never need them, but if we ever do, they will be in each of those facilities. So thank you, Deputy Mayor, for moving that forward. And Mayor, if I could, I just would like to say, as my first time through the budget, I too would like to thank the Finance and Budget Committee and Council for their support and leadership in the creation of this budget, as well as staff. They've heard me say before, you're only as successful as those people with whom you surround yourself. And you have a great staff here. So they've done an outstanding job and got my back, and so it was just a great team effort. So I thank everyone involved very much.
Joe, you got anything?
One of the reasons why most people don't bother with their sludge out of the wastewater, trying to sell it, cautionary tale. It was down in Miami, they decided that they were going to use it for lawn fertilizer, and it was all no contamination or anything. Fortunately, anybody who bought it and put it on their lawns very shortly had tomato plants growing. The human body does not digest tomato seeds.
Some things we didn't need to know, Joe. That's on that list.
And because of the uproar from the people about having to mess around with their beautiful lawns, they had to pay a lot of money, so they don't do it anymore.
They could have tomatoes.
Wow.
I just want somebody to take it for free and let them go make money with it.
Right.
It's, the problem that you have, and I think Jim could probably talk better to it, is that the people who do it, they have such a high standard they have to meet, and the insurance requirements are really astronomical for that kind of stuff. If you make a mistake, the federal government comes down on you, and they can hit you with treble damages, all kinds of things, and these people will do it. That's why you don't have so many people doing it. It's a risky business, because if you make a mistake, it comes back to haunt you big time.
Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy was telling me about the liability we have. Even if we take it to the dump, we got liability of it. All right. Anything else before this committee? I adjourn at, is that 6:33?